Alright, so today we're going to be going over a few teams in college football that have the potential to be a big playoff contender coming into this 2019 season. There are a ton of teams that I think have the potential to do so. We're first going to be going over a few teams that are long shots. We've got 8 teams that are long shots, and those teams are ones that, it's highly unlikely that they do get it, but it is still a possibility if something crazy happens. Then after that, we've got a few teams. I believe we've got 11 or 12. And those teams are ones that are real contenders. I do believe these 2 teams are going to be on this list, Oregon and Florida. And all of those teams on that list, we're going to give a reason for, and we're going to do a little bit of analysis on each one of those teams. Starting off with our 2019-2020 long shots for the college football playoff, you got Northwestern, Washington State and Washington, UCF, Nebraska, Iowa State, Miami, and Penn State. These 8 teams, I believe, have a very small chance of getting into it, but it is still possible. You're not going to see any Pac-12 teams on the real contender list. You got Washington and Washington State on this. I believe if one of those 2 teams goes undefeated and wins the Pac-12 championship, that is possibly the only way that we're going to see them into the college football playoff. Because the Pac-12, I have to say it's probably the most weak Power 5 conference out of the 5. And so for the Pac-12 teams, it makes it tough because, being up in the West, that's just how it is. But yeah, starting off with Northwestern, this is a team that did very well last year, kind of surprised me there. They're on the long shot list. I believe if they can, the thing is though, they do have a possibility that they can go to the Big Ten championship. I highly believe that is possible. But the thing is that they got to win that, and they have to have an extremely good record during the season. Pat Fitzgerald, he's doing a great job in Northwestern. I have a lot of faith in that team. It'll be really interesting to see how they do. Once again with Washington's, if one of them can go undefeated and win the Pac-12 championship, I think that one of them will definitely get in. UCF, we've heard this story multiple times. Being a Group of 5 conference team, their quarterback got injured at the end of last season, kind of affected how they finished off the season. But UCF definitely is a team that I think is going to be great once again next year. I wouldn't be surprised to see them get to at least 10 wins. That's a team I think that, they should have made it to the college football playoff a couple years ago. They definitely had a good argument to be able to be in that. Those days are kind of over though. We got to move on from that. Nebraska is going to be next. This is another team. Once again, I'm really hyping up this team for next year. They were 4-8 2 years in a row, 2017 and 2018. But coming into this season, with Scott Frost in there and how they improved towards the end of last season, Nebraska is going to be a team to watch out for as we get into 2020-2021. This is a team that we may be talking about possibly competing for the college football playoff. Nebraska is going to be really good going in the next few years. I do believe Scott Frost is doing some awesome things down there, I do believe. Iowa State is next. And Iowa State, they've been really good in the last couple of years compared to how they usually are. But Iowa State, I do believe, has a chance at it. They probably, on this list, I'd say Iowa State, Miami, and Penn State probably have the highest chances of getting into it, even though it's still a pretty slim chance. But Iowa State, I do believe, has a chance to finish 3rd in the Big 12. If they can somehow pull something out and beat Oklahoma and Texas in the playoff, but it's going to be tough for the next season as well. Next up, we've got Miami, the one ACC team on this long shot list. And I think Miami is going to be another team that's going to improve or continue to improve going into next season. And so watch out for Miami. This is going to be a dangerous team. Penn State, another one to watch out for. In the Big Ten, they're one of the big 3 in the Big Ten East. You got Ohio State, you got Michigan, and then Penn State on the other hand as well. If Penn State can win that division and win the Big Ten championship, it is definitely possible. If they have a good record going into it, that they do end up going to the college football playoff. But once again, it's still a long shot. That is a young team coming into 2019. They lost quite a bit after last season, and so I don't think that 2019 will be their year. But I definitely think they'll still be a good team. Going into our first real contender, we've got Michigan. Now this is a team that went 10-3 last season. They returned Shea Patterson and all of their running backs. That is great for their offense. They have a few losses, but not too many. The way that Michigan, I think, makes the college football playoff next season is if they beat Ohio State, they have to beat Penn State, they have to win the Big Ten championship, and I think that you've got a reasonable argument to get into it. Because if you can beat Penn State and Ohio State, then you put them a little bit lower in your division. That's really what Michigan needs at this point. I mean, they're in a very competitive division. How high can Michigan get next season? I really do believe that they've got a shot at a Big Ten championship for sure. Once again, as it always is in the Big Ten East, it is always a toss-up. And I mean, you can't forget about Michigan State either. That's another team that could be a contender for that Big Ten championship game. Once again, Michigan, you've got to win your games next season. They're going to be very important. How high can Michigan get in the rankings? Thinking of it that way, I think Michigan will likely be a top 15 team for the majority of next season. Maybe they'll dip a little bit below that sometimes, but I still believe Michigan's going to be a great team. LSU's the next one, 10-3. This is another real contender. They were ranked 10th for the early ESPN FPI. I believe that's right around where they should be. I think that's a good ranking by the FPI there. They return Burrow, all their receivers. That is huge. They do lose Brissett, but otherwise they don't have too many losses. So LSU is looking pretty good going into next season. They are a dangerous team in the SEC. How does LSU make the playoff in 2019? They really need to win the SEC championship, I believe. I mean, because Alabama, they're going to be up there no matter what. And so they need to beat Alabama and be able to get to the SEC championship. I think that's how they get in. Texas is next, and this is another real contender. They were 10-4 last season. Great season in 2018. This is probably, I'd say, one of the 5 most hyped up teams going into 2019. I mean, we've got Oregon, Texas, Nebraska, all of those teams extremely hyped up for this 2019 season. But yeah, Texas definitely has a reason. But the thing is, though, I don't think people are realizing they're losing Humphrey, which is their best receiver. That's going to be tough for Sam Ehlinger to have to adjust. Now, they're also taking major defensive hits. They're losing a lot of defense. And Texas is still extremely hyped up. And I think that they will be a contender next season. This will be a team that's consistently in the top 15. However, Texas is going to be tough for them to make the playoff next year. Maybe in a couple of years, I don't know. But Texas, not sure about next year quite yet. How long until a college football playoff appearance? Once again, it could be in a couple years. I really like their coach. Their coach is doing some great things. Just something to watch out for in Texas. Clemson is next. They were 15-0 last season. Won the national championship, obviously. So they had a perfect 2018 season, and they were the only team to do so. They returned most of their key starters, including Trevor Lawrence. That is going to be huge. Favorites for the title in 2019 as well. Not surprised there. I mean, the amount of players that they're returning in Dabo Swinney, I think that Clemson definitely is going to be a team to watch out for going into the college football playoff. I think Alabama and Clemson, it is honestly a no-brainer that both of them will be in the college football playoff next season. I would be stunned if Alabama and Clemson did not make it. I mean, even both of them, they both should make it. I mean, it'd be a rarity if Clemson misses out on the college football playoff once again next season. What does Clemson have to worry about most? I would say the upsets. I mean, you cannot get upset next season. That happens to almost every team, every good team, except for Clemson last season, had an upset at some point. And so it's like, for Clemson, you got to avoid those upsets. You got to be great in every single game, no matter who you're playing. Oregon is next. They were 9-4 last season. Very hyped up for the season once again. They returned some major key players, including Justin Herbert. This is a great quarterback that I think has potential to win the Heisman. He's a really good quarterback. How high can Oregon get? I think this is going to be a team that's consistently in the top 15. As for many of these real contenders on this list, I think most of them will be in the top 15 for the majority of the season. How high can Oregon get? I think that's probably your best bet. Is this Oregon's biggest opportunity at a college football playoff bid, especially for the next couple of years? I mean, they've already been in the college football playoff, but just for this year, this is probably their best year for a little while, because when Justin Herbert's gone, it's going to be a big hit to this group. They're going to be kind of younger going into the 2020 season. And so I think for Oregon, this is a great opportunity this year to make it into the college or the CFP. So this is going to be a major season for Oregon. They need to really do well. Next up is Alabama, and obviously this is another team that is a real contender. In 2018, they went 14-1. Their season was excellent last year. They dominated every single game, but it was cut short by Clemson at the end of the season by quite a bit. 2 returns in 2019, that's going to be huge for this team, and they also lose a few key players. Harris is included in that. But what are the keys of Alabama once again making the college football playoff? This team needs to just keep doing what they've been doing. I think if they can use Tua a lot, that is really going to help them. And they cannot take many losses because sometimes for some teams, when you're great and you take a loss, that can sometimes throw you off your game, and that can lead to several losses. That is a rarity for Alabama, but I do believe that this team really needs to just keep winning, make it an SEC championship game, and that's how you get in. Next up, we've got Oklahoma. This team is 12-2. They went 12-2 in 2018. They lose Murray, but now have Hurts. Jalen Hurts is taking over a quarterback for this program next year. That is going to be huge. I think Hurts is a great quarterback, and he's really going to help lead this program. They lose quite a bit on offense, and so that's going to be their biggest problem going into next year. But their defense does look good again. That's going to be a bright point for Oklahoma. How can Oklahoma make the playoff in 2019? I think they got to win the Big 12. Texas is going to be a difficult opponent that they're going to have to play. Same as Iowa State. I mean, that's another team they're going to have to watch out for. But Oklahoma needs to win the Big 12 in order to get in. That's almost how it always is with the Big 12. But I do believe that Oklahoma has a great shot at that. It would not surprise me if they made it once again next season. But it will be tough, that is for sure. Next, we've got Ohio State. They went 13-1 in 2018. Ryan Day takes over for coach in 2019. Urban Meyer has retired. And will the coaching change make a significant difference? Of course, when you have a new coach, you have to adjust. But the thing is, though, Ohio State had a coach that led this program to some amazing seasons. And I think Ryan Day will continue that. I think Ohio State shouldn't see much of a difference next season. This is going to be a team that's going to continue to contend for championships. And I think that they will make the Big Ten championship next season. That is very possible for this team. I mean, they've got so much talent. I mean, they've got Justin Fields now in there. They got Dobbins. Really, this is a great team. Where will Ohio State land in the rankings consistently? I think this will be a top 10 team for the majority of the season. Ryan Day and the coaching change, I don't think it'll make much of a difference. He was already coached there to begin with. Florida is next, and they went 10-3 in 2018, and they returned lots of key players. Felipe Franks, great quarterback, a lot of faith in him. That's really going to help this Florida team. They have very few losses on both sides, and so that's another thing that's really going to help this Florida team. Could they make it to the SEC championship in 2019? They don't have to battle with Alabama for a position in it, so I do believe that Florida's going to have a good chance. But the thing is, though, they have to worry about Georgia also in that division. They need to beat Georgia next season if they're going to have a chance at the college football playoff, because they need to win the SEC championship. Which Georgia's up next, and they were 11-3 last season. This team is going to be very similar to, I think, Florida next season. Skill-wise, I think they're going to sit right around in the same places. When Florida and Georgia play next season, that's going to be a game to watch for sure. How likely is another college football playoff run? I think it's very likely. I mean, Jake Fromm's an excellent quarterback, and so that's something to watch out for in Georgia. How does Georgia get to the college football playoff? About the same way I think that Florida does. They need to win the SEC championship game and have a great record. That's how you're going to make it there. Worst losses include wide receivers for this team, and so Jake Fromm's going to have to adjust to that. But I don't think that will be much of a problem for him. But anyway, that is it for this video. Thank you guys all for watching. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this in the comments below. This was not a video for my playoff predictions. I'll be releasing that probably tomorrow. I still will probably put out like 2 predictions for my college football playoff before the season starts. We are just in late June, so that's just something to note there. But yeah, once again, thank you guys all for watching, and stay tuned for more from AFC.